Welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and I'm going to be introducing you today to a very special friend of mine who is also a comrade in arms when it comes to social media marketing. I get the pleasure of working with so many incredibly talented individuals all over the globe, and today I get to introduce you to one of those people. Today, you're going to meet Ciara Philippa, who is the Digital IT and Communications Manager at Juice Plus Australia, New Zealand. Now, I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to work closely with Ciara over the years, getting to know about their compliance, getting to understand the intricate details of their company so that I can better serve their field. But the amazing thing is that throughout this process, I have had so much fun getting creative with Ciara. Now, the thing that you're going to love about Ciara today is she is so upfront and honest about the simplicity of making social media work well for you. But she goes off on a slightly different tangent. Her brief today was to come to the table with some tips and tricks on how to be amazing at social media. And instead, we decided to go down a different road. Instead, we talk about some of the sins of social media, some of the things that she cannot stand seeing on social media. And I thought, you know what? This is going to be some fun. So we had a great laugh in this episode. We dropped some amazing golden nuggets that I know are going to put a smile on your face, but they're also going to give you some clarity around what does and doesn't work right now on Facebook and Instagram. And the thing that I loved the most was she addressed one of the major topics, one of the major questions I get asked every single day. How should I use hashtags? So jump on in, enjoy. I know you're going to love this episode. I am such a Ciara fan, and I'm so excited that I got to have a chat with her for you guys to listen to. So get your pen and paper ready. Loads of golden nuggets in this episode, and I know you're going to enjoy. So tune on in. Hey, everybody, and welcome back in to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and I am so excited to introduce you today to a very special friend of mine. Welcome on in, Ciara.
Hi.
So Ciara Philippa is, and I'm going to get this right, the Digital IT and Communications Manager at Juice Plus Australia, New Zealand. So welcome on in, Ciara. It's so good to have you here. And I am a little bit excited from a selfish perspective because I love our catch-ups. And this really, I know it's a podcast, but it's really kind of just an excuse for us to catch up and chat.
Definitely. That's the whole reason for this podcast. That's why you set it up.
Absolutely. But you guys are going to get a lot out of it too, because here's what you need to know about Ciara. She is a social media whiz, and I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to work with Ciara over the last, how many years now? Let me get this right. Would it be 3?
I think almost 3, coming up on 3.
Okay. So let's say 3 because it sounds better than 2. And I'm pretty sure it feels like it's at least 2. So let's go with
feels like 10 years.
10 years. I'm getting old. No, so we've been working together for around 3 years. And one of the things that I love to be able to do is get to know the direct selling companies in Australia and, you know, compliance and all of those fun things. And Ciara has, of course, over the last 3 years had to become very good at compliance and understanding what you can and can't do on social media in order to be awesome at her job, which she is. But one of the things that I love about Ciara is her creativity. And when the two of us get together, we tend to have these, and I've dubbed them Sam Live moments. I think you've got a different name for them, right?
Well, I really like what Ali says, rather than, having a live moment, is that we marinate on things. So like we think it over. So Sam will do a Sam Live and give us a crazy idea, and we'll have to marinate on it and come back with different ideas.
Yeah, and they could go anywhere. And this is what happens. It's one of the fun things. These guys never say no to anything straight away. They marinate on stuff, even if my idea was crazy. But one of the things that we've really enjoyed doing is getting a little bit creative over the years. And as part of that, I thought it'd be awesome to pull Ciara in today to talk to us about, initially it was about some of her social media tips, but that morphed. We changed it. We've thrown that out, baby with the bathwater here. And we've decided instead, actually you decided instead that this was going to be like your pet peeves really on social media, your social media sin bin. We're going to totally pull everything out of it today and we're going to analyze it. We're going to put it back in the bin, right?
Yep. It's time to get out your notepad, and I want to see whether you're committing these sins, these social media sins.
Yep. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to write these things down, then cross them out. And then you're going to take that bit of paper at the end, you're going to throw it in the bin, and you're never going to do those things again. And you're going to be really honest with yourself today, right? Is that how this works? You're going to, it's going to be a moment of, have you done this? And if you have, let's just say that you're never going to do it again. Because these are the things that if Ciara sees them on social media, she's going to be.
I'll be cringing.
Now, to be fair, a lot of these, as you were saying them, and I don't love focusing on the negative, but I love that we get to do that today because I spend so much of my energy trying to focus on flipping things to the positive. But I really thought this was just, so real. And I was reading through what you were going to talk about, I was like, yes, this is so good. So I can't wait to get into it. But just before we do, Ciara, do you want to tell everyone just a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, so I studied Newcastle University and did a Bachelor of Business, majoring in marketing and management. So previously I freelanced in marketing, so helping out like local businesses, local dance studios and stuff like that, doing their social media, starting to work on websites. And then I got into a bit more corporate world and worked for a building company for a few years and managed 8 of their brands. And I think it was around 30 social media channels.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a lot going on. But that being said, my current role, I'm all across the website. I'm across emails, text messages, basically anything where we're talking to franchise partners or talking to customers. Our team is at the forefront of that. And, I work with a beautiful group of 6 people in our closer group, and they are just amazing to work with. And we look after, everything IT, compliance, communications, marketing, you name it, we're on it.
You're on it. So just a quick question, because this is your first time in the last 3 years, your first time really being exposed to the inside workings of the direct selling industry. How have you found this? Because it can be a little bit of a baptism of fire for people for the first time, because this industry is so different to any other. How have you found it jumping into direct selling?
For sure. I mean, it's so different because you're talking to a lot of different people now. So we have to make sure that we give franchise partners what they need to sell their business.
And this is your name for consultants, just for those listening that are wondering about.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then we've also got the customer side. So we want to, from a corporate perspective, we want to make sure that we're telling all the customers the right thing so that franchise partners or consultants can have more confident conversations and that they can feel like the person already knows about the company and get them from all angles. But it's been amazing, and hearing stories from consultants on how this model of business has changed their life is just incredible. And, I wish more people had that understanding of what the business model is like.
Yeah. So do you think that you had a different opinion of it before you came in versus what you have now?
Definitely. I think pretty much everyone you would talk to will be like, I was a skeptic coming in, and now I'm so defensive and I'm like, I know what's going on. You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I love it. So I didn't want to go too off topic there, but I think it's really great as well. I love speaking to people that, even speaking to consultants that are first time in the industry, just that total change of point of view when they get to see what this industry is like. And I will say one of the amazing things about Juice Plus is the community. One of the things I've really noticed over the years is that the community amongst the franchise partners, which are the consultants, is just so beautiful to watch. So it's awesome that you guys get to be part of that every day for your job.
I'm so blessed.
So I think we should get into the nitty gritty, which is, we're going to flip this around now. We're going to talk about some sins, some no-nos, some boo-boos, whatever you want to call them. You need to get your notebooks out right now, because I'm going to ask you, Ciara, to dive on in, and let's start talking about those things that you never want to see again on social media. Hey?
Okay, this is where you need to be honest with yourself. And I want you to tell me, or tell yourself internally, have you ever gone on Google, maybe gone on Pinterest, you see an image you really like, and you're like, I can post about that. Like this resonates with me. And
I love that meme.
I love this image. It has a little little something on it, but no one will notice it. Like they can't see that writing. It's fine. It's on the internet. It's up for grabs. No, it's not. It's not up for grabs. So talking about copywritten material. So basically something that belongs to someone else. And pretty much if you go on Google Images and search for anything, majority of the time that image is going to be the property of someone else, and big stuff on Pinterest as well. So that's one of my big no-nos is not getting and technically stealing someone else's material.
Yep.
You'll notice it most when you see other people's watermarks on it, or even like stock, like Shutterstock or something like that.
The stamp
is watermarked across the photo. And like besides all the legality and stuff like that, it's just really unprofessional. Like
it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. And that's one of the reasons why you wouldn't go to Google Images and things like that for photos, is because it's lower quality. Like it's not really what you're after. And as much as this goes in the sin bin, we do have ways around this.
Yeah, we'll put these in the show notes. You can talk through them, but I'll make sure that for every one of these sins, we've got the little alternatives here so people have got something to go with.
That's good.
I've got your little sites here. You can go through them and I'll put them in the show notes for everybody listening.
That's awesome. So what you really need to do is look for royalty-free, no attribution required images, videos, or music. And it's actually really easy to find. Have you found that, Sam, or do you struggle to find content?
No, really easy. And like when you say no, like royalty-free, no attribution required, like I don't want that to freak people out because they're thinking, I'm driving right now and I can't write that down and how do I search for it? No, the sites that Ciara's about to give you all have those. So any images you find on them, you're cool, you're safe. But I'm also going to give you, so you go through yours, but I've got a couple of things that I prefer to do as well that I didn't mention to you previously that are kind of like my way of dealing with this. So you go and
good, because I've got
suggestions are awesome. I love these.
Yeah, I've got my notepad ready as well. So I'll be
right. Okay.
So when we're talking royalty free, that means you'll hear about royalties like with music and stuff like that. We have to pay money to go and use a song. So we want it without that. So we don't have to pay any money for that, because I'm all about the good value alternatives, not cheap, good value. And you also don't want the attribution, because otherwise you have to be like, I got this music from this person, or I got this photo from here. Yeah. And we just want it nice and easy. Yeah. So some of my favorite sites are Pixabay, Pexels, Unsplash, Burst, Raw Pixel. Look, I know I'm just like chucked out.
Don't worry, we're going to put them all in the show notes for you guys.
So get them in the show notes. Yeah. Go and find your favorite site. So I've just given you 5 sites. They've all got images. Some go and group them into like categories. So if you're all about healthcare and wellness, they've already got a whole bunch of images for that. If you like something that's a little bit more detailed or a bit more on the creative side, you can go to Raw Pixel, and that's got like vectors and PSD files, like really high quality stuff for Photoshop. But yeah, you can take it as simple or as extreme as you want, and like just type in quotes or something and it'll pop up with a bunch of quotes that are free for you to use and download.
So this is if you want to get a picture for, let's say you want to put up a post about a cup of coffee and you want to get a picture of a cup of coffee, you go in, you search coffee. Now, the question here, Ciara, are these free or paid?
These ones are all free. Absolutely free. So I'm not about that paid life.
You like the free stuff, right?
I like the free
stuff. People are wondering, these are all free stock images, beautiful images you're allowed to use that look good so that you don't have ugly watermarks, stamps, and you're not stealing. Is that right?
Done. How good is that?
Now, I've got a couple of other suggestions to add to that.
Oh, do tell.
The first one I have told you about, which is a paid stock site, but I love this one, called Stock Unlimited. Stock Unlimited gives you like a monthly fee and you get higher quality images, but you're not paying like Getty images and things like that. So you're not paying big dollars. You're paying around about $9, $10 a month for as many downloaded images as you want, and you can keep those. So I do like Stock Unlimited, but back to the free stuff, you can also get stock images for free on Canva. If you type in coffee, it'll bring up all the pictures of a cup of coffee and you can use those. But I'm worried that you might be going here and I'm stealing your thunder, but I'm all about taking your own photos. Were you going to go there?
I definitely agree with that. This is for more if you don't have the time, but if you do have the time, you are stealing my thunder when it comes to Canva.
I'm sorry. Well,
because this can just be a whole other podcast on Canva, to be honest.
Yeah, we could go there. But what I will say is I've got a couple of apps I love to use for when I take a photo and I want to kind of pimp it up a little bit. And I know that you'll probably have some suggestions here as well, but I love using Word Swag. I also I feel like I'm going to have a mental blank. I'm going to pull it up on my phone here now so I can actually see it because there's so many of them. Typorama was the other one I was thinking of. And again, there's so many of these that you can use, but they're my two go-tos because you can pull up an image that you've taken on your phone and you can add text overlay to it really quickly, or you can change it, put filters on it, add little elements to it. And it's kind of like a quicker version of Canva for when you're on the fly for something a little bit different. And I kind of like those two. So just throw those out.
Like that. For video editing, I would use Splice. So Splice. That's an app for your phone. I have iPhone. So
isn't that like the ice cream we had when we were kids? That's what it reminds me of.
Splice. I don't know, but you're definitely welcome to eat ice cream while you use this app. I feel like you'll need
the ice creams with the icy pole on the outside. It's for people that can't decide if they want an ice cream or an icy pole. They have a Splice. It's like half and half. Yeah,
I mean, I do like those. No, I know what you're talking about. It's fine.
Which is now no one's going to forget that app. This is where I'm going. I'm just helping with the memory recall right now.
That's true. I'm going with the free stuff and you have to pay for ice creams. This app is free, but you can't eat it, unfortunately. But it's really simple for putting together different bits of video. So if you want to put multiple bits together, you want it to go a little bit faster in one section, drop some text over it. It's a nice little step up if you're into that video style of stuff. But can we go back to Canva for a minute?
Yeah, totally.
So Canva is a design platform, and I swear it's like trying to put us designers out of business because they keep adding features and I'm like, I used to only be able to do that. Now everyone can do that.
Used to take me days to do that. Now you can do it in 5 minutes. There's a template now.
So sign up to Canva. It's a free account. Even if you don't want to do fancy editing stuff, it's got all these pre-made templates that you can use and it all comes under categories. So like some are good for Instagram, some are good for stories.
Yeah, I love the new stories templates. They're really cool.
They are one of my favorites. And something you'll notice about it is that there's different sizes for each of these different mediums. So that kind of falls into the other sin of just using the same content on different platforms, when it's really better off if you size it correctly because it'll take up more of the screen and it's just a lot easier for viewing. You get real estate on that screen basically. Yeah. But just make sure you only use the free templates or the free images in there because I definitely see people using Canva and then they got little stripes over their images. We don't want the stripes.
And if someone pulls up a template that has got the watermark on there and they don't want to pay for it, you've got a little tip there as well for them to make it free. If it's, go.
So fingers crossed it still works. So you guys will have to go test this for me because I feel like it changes every week. If it does have crosses over it or it looks like one little leaf is paid for, just click on that element and delete it. And then you can export it for free.
And the whole template will be good to go. Sometimes I guess what Ciara's saying is there might be a little image on that whole template and it's just that one little image that's causing it to be a paid template. So just delete that little image out. And you can usually tell when you click through them because it will come up with a little notice to say that one will cost you. It'll have a dollar symbol. Yeah. I love that. And I just want to touch on that too. We've talked about user-generated content, which is photos that you take are, by the way, favored by Facebook and Instagram. So they know when you're using your own image versus something that you've pulled from somewhere else or shared, and that content is much more favored because it's so much more relatable and real. So, yeah.
And personally, I find people interact better with content that is real. Yeah. So we want to see your dodgy photo shoot. They want to see, okay, not completely dodgy.
Maybe not dodgy.
What you might
the worst
think is
photos you've taken, they're the ones that Ciara wants to. No, that's not what we're going.
I don't know. Friday fails. Friday funnies.
Not so bad. Yeah. Yeah. We could go with those. They work.
But stress a little less about your authentic photo. You don't have to be doing the quality of Pexels free stock images because they are perfectly made and people know that that's not real life.
That's right. And especially if what you're doing is selling product or, you're making recipes and things, when they look too perfect, people think I can't do that. It won't
100%.
Look like that when I have it, or it won't, like how many times have you seen, I don't know about you, like if you see a cosmetic or something and you see it on the net or you see it advertised, you think, when I get it, it's never going to look like that. Like it'll be small.
I won't be like,
in
front of the mirror. My face won't be as smooth and shiny.
Yeah. And you just think, you know what? I'm not going to bother spending the money because I don't feel like it's real. Whereas if you see someone who is not flawless, who is using a product or holding the product so you can see its actual real size, then I feel like I connect better. I go, you know what? That's what I'll look like putting it on. And I can see it feels so much more real and relatable. So,
definitely.
I saw an article. I don't read or listen to the news anymore. And on the odd occasion, I've got a little confession to make. Sometimes when I go down to the lunchroom here, there are magazines on the table. And I may open one every so often, just when I need to totally zone my brain out. And
that's your confession. That's
my confession. Yeah. Well, I'm not going down the hole too far today. I read trashy magazines every so often. And I opened one the other day and it had this article about Kate Winslet and how in her latest series, she refused to be airbrushed and they had to go back and unedit everything because she actually said to the editing team, I know how many lines I've got on my face, put every one of them back. And I was like, you know what? You are awesome. I love that because that in so many ways is so similar to the whole social media thing. People spend so much time editing and undoing the real. And it's like, just go back to the real because that's what people get and relate to. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there.
That was a good tangent though.
Was all right? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You're going to give us your next sin, Ciara?
The next sin. Have you ever heard the phrase, and tell me if you're guilty of this, I'm just posting because, Sam told me to. Sam said I had to post.
Threw me in hot water.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not Sam. They said, I read an article and it said I should be posting to my social media twice a day and I need to post to Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just posting.
I feel like there's a whole lot of people right now driving around with their hands up. Yeah.
No, grab the wheel. Please keep driving.
Me.
Posting is great. It's great to own social media and to get out there and be making posts. But Sam, what would you say if someone said they were posting just because?
I'd probably, it's probably more what I would feel and I would think than what I would say. But it is a pet peeve of mine is people posting for the sake of it because it wastes time. And it often, the way I see it is I feel like it's more counterproductive and in many cases takes you backwards because it's not thought through. And sometimes it's not only not achieving what you want, it's undoing what you want it to do.
Yeah, I definitely feel you there. And the thing that I want you to think about when you're making a post or writing something up, taking a photo, is what do I want at the end of this? What's my end goal?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know why you're posting it, then who really cares? Your audience isn't going to care. Your customers, your friends, they're not really going to be interested because they don't understand why you're doing this.
They can usually tell as well. I saw one actually this morning. There's somebody that I've been following who is in health and wellness in direct selling. And this person had put up a picture of a flower in a garden and said, how beautiful is this? But the thing was, when I read a little bit further, someone said, wow, how did you grow that? Or what is it called? The person said, I don't know. I just found the picture online. And I went, oh, it's not even in your own garden. There is absolutely, it's not related to anything. And this is what I see happening a lot is people think that just because it's something they like, that if I went on Facebook and I was scrolling through Facebook, this is the sort of thing I would stop on, that then justifies putting it on your own page. And that's like a big fat no, don't do it.
Yeah. So it's about quality over quantity. Yeah. And when you're looking for quality in a post, you want to think about, what do I want the person to do at the end of this? So it's great to post a flower. That's fine. But why are you posting a flower? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's because I'm really grateful that it's sunny outside. And I want other people to feel grateful about things like that too. So I'm going to maybe start a question and say, hey, what are you grateful for today? And someone might say,
great way to start in.
The beautiful community that I have. Or you might post about a new podcast that you're listening to by Sam Hines. And you're like, hey guys, I listened to this podcast and I got all these tips. Send me a message to find out what the podcast was, what the tips were. Maybe you want to drop in one of those tips. So there's some everyday examples, but then you want to get it more business focused, right?
So actually, I just want to come back a little sec there, because you brought something up that is another one of my little sin bin items that kind of goes with what you've just said. And that is when people post a link or share a post, but then they don't say why they're sharing it or why they're sharing the link. So, you might find a video on YouTube that you love that you want to share with people on your page, or you might see something on your head office Facebook page and share that across to yours. But it's a little pet peeve for me when you don't tell me why I should be looking at it. Like, I should just know why this is on your feed. And sometimes it's like, I'm not a mind reader, and you don't deserve my time right now to look at this post if you can't take 2 seconds to tell me why I should look at it.
Especially because people only have a 2 seconds.
2 seconds
span. 3 seconds if you're lucky.
Yeah. It used to be 3. 3 seconds was the amount of time you had to get people's attention on Facebook. It's actually proven to have been dropped down to just over 2 seconds. You've got to get their attention.
So something punchy.
Yeah.
Something thumb stopping.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to. I'm not suggesting you need to write an essay. Just give me 2 or 3 words. Like, I loved this. I think you will too. Or this brightened up my day. Or this was so motivational. It's Motivational Monday today. So if you need a bit of motivation to get going, watch this video because this one just got me going. It doesn't have to be complicated, but tell me why I should look at it. If you're sharing something from your main company page, tell me, why are you sharing it? Don't just share it, but just say amazing special just released, if that's what it is. Or one of my favorite products just went on special. Put that out, but tell us why we should look at it. Right.
So some things that might help jog your brain if you're stuck for post ideas. So have a think about what emotion you want people to have when they're reading it. So do you want them to be happy? Do you want them to feel motivated? Are they inquisitive? Are they like, what is this special they're talking about? I'm always stopping for specials. Do you want people to get angry? Do you want people to, sign a petition or donate to something because, they're angry and then the solution is to donate? They're not angry about donating.
Yeah.
Or FOMO. Do you want to create FOMO on your post?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yes. And then you want to tell them what action to take afterwards, right? So they're feeling this emotion. They're like, oh, I am really grateful. And then you're like, comment what you're grateful about. And you're like, yeah, I will comment. You're going to stop scrolling or whatever because you're like, oh, they've asked me to do something. Yeah, I should actually tell them that their post has made an impact in my life today. I've stopped for those 2 seconds. Or you might want them to save a recipe maybe, like, check out what I just made. You're going to want to save this one. You might get them to tell you something. So like, here are my top 10 tips on whatever. Tell me some of your tips. Or even like recognition posts. Like if you're cheering on a consultant who just did something amazing. They may have got a promotion or something. Ask other people to cheer on too, because I'll stop and I'll start cheering. I'll leave a little comment.
Well, that kind of brings the social back in, doesn't it? It is social media. So it's about getting interaction rather than just telling people things. So I really like that. And the emotion is a really big part of it. Back when you're studying marketing, one of the key things about any marketing campaign that you get taught to think about first and foremost is, what emotion do you want people to feel when they see this promotional advert? And it's such an important part of what you do on social media. So if you're wondering, well, I don't really know what I want to achieve with this post, just ask yourself this one question. What do I want people to feel when they see it? Do I want them to feel inspired, curious, FOMO, like Ciara said? Do I want them to be angry, happy, motivated, frustrated? We've actually got a little cheat sheet. I might put it in the show notes for everybody on buzzwords. And so for each emotion, it's actually got a bunch of buzzwords. So words you can put in your caption that help people feel that emotion. And I know you've got a similar document that you've just shown me here as well. And it's a really good way of pulling yourself back and going, oh yeah, that I'd love people to be feeling this emotion when they see this picture of the flower. So what sort of words can you use that actually evoke that emotion and help to get it across?
I think that's great as well. Like knowing we work from cheat sheets too. We don't have all the answers in our heads. It's not just like you're born with marketing skill. Just jump on Google and, write in emotions, types of emotions. And then you'll bring up a list and you're like, oh yeah, it is these ones. Or it might be, and then you can build from there. So like words to make you angry.
And it's not just words either, is it, Ciara? Because colors are massively important with emotion, right?
Definitely. And that's another thing that you can look up. Look up the color wheel and look up which colors tend to fall into those different categories of, sadness or happiness and things like that.
Yeah. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of things that, and people might be thinking now, wow, this is so much more complicated than I thought it had to be. It's not that it's complicated. It's just if you go in with purpose, then you're much more likely, you might not get it right every time, but if you go in with your post with purpose, then you've thought through a little bit. You're not just randomly slapping stuff out there, but more you're thinking about it. And it takes a little bit of learning. You're going to get to know your audience better as you do this process. So now I just want to come back for a little second because some people might be wondering, well, if I've got to have an objective or a purpose to every post, does that mean like I should be trying to sell on every post?
No. And I wouldn't recommend that you do that either. So I think we say for us
80-20, but I've changed my mind on that. I've decided it's 99-1.
99-1, that's a lot of posts.
Yeah, I feel like 99% of the time you should be focusing on value. And I will just point this out because there is a big difference between what your head office does and how they do their posting to what you should be doing as consultant, distributor, designer, stylist, franchise partner, whatever you identify as. But if you've got your own business in the field right now, let the head office do the promoting because it's their job to do that. And you focus on value first and connection and relationship and getting to know your audience rather than selling. And do you know, my observation of the most successful consultants out there globally, Ciara, that those that are most successful, I find on social media, are the ones that you will never see a sales or promotional post from.
Yeah, it's a lot more, I want to say hidden. Hidden isn't quite the right word.
Curiosity and intrigue.
Yeah. They're
like what they do. They keep talking about this amazing business that they have, but they never actually say anything about what it is. And so what do people want to know? What is it? How do they find out? They ask. What happens when they ask? You start a conversation. What happens when you start the conversation? You develop a relationship, and that's the whole point.
Yeah. I think network marketing, I like to use that term to describe the direct selling industry because there's so many different words for it. Yeah. But network marketing, because networking comes first. So it's about generating those conversations and giving people reasons to start conversations with you. And that's where, it's great to chuck in a comment at the end to say, comment if you want to talk to me or send me a message about your ideas. So there's some of the great ones to make sure that people are coming back and talking to you. Or, let me know if you're going to try this recipe. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Should we move on to another sin?
Yes. This sin is very near and dear to my heart, and I feel like it's very close to your heart as well.
It is, and I feel like it's probably the question I get asked the most. So I'm excited that you brought this one up.
Hashtagging. So hashtagging should
be done on Facebook as much as you can.
Bow, bow.
Is that where you were going with this?
Yeah, I hope everyone just... Sam, what are you talking about? Don't listen to Sam. We don't really use hashtags on Facebook because Facebook doesn't need it. So the reason why you use a hashtag is basically to connect with other people in a certain community or with a certain interest group, things like that. The Facebook searching methods, like if you go and type in your search bar, you want to go and find something, it's pretty articulate. So you're going to find whatever you need without using a hashtag. So we avoid them on Facebook because they go and clutter up your posts and they don't really add value. But where they do add value is particularly on Instagram and Twitter. So I'm going to talk about Instagram because that's more of my forte, and because we have little methods that we use to try and find the right hashtags, because it's not just about adding any hashtag because you're like, okay, I'm allowed to use them on Instagram.
Yeah. You're saying I can't just randomly throw hashtags on my Instagram post?
Unfortunately not, Sam. You're going to have to, put in more effort. But on the upside, you can definitely save what ones you're using often. And if you know that you have different categories of posts, for me personally, like my personal Instagram, I have in my notes part of my phone, I have a bunch of headings of cat hashtags. I have a cat. Spoiler alert. Or like if you're talking about plants, you might have a different one for common terms used. But we do have ways you can find the common terms. It's not just hashtag plants, hashtag cats. What you can actually do is when you get into Instagram and you type up in your search bar, so you want to add the hashtag symbol and then start writing out whatever the baseline is of the topic you're talking about. So it might be makeup. So hashtag makeup. And then it'll go and add in, it being Instagram, other common hashtags that start out with makeup. So it might be makeup tutorials or makeup tips. And you just keep building this list of more narrow hashtags. So people aren't just looking for, say it might be vegan makeup. That's its own little category. Yeah. So if your makeup isn't vegan, you wouldn't want to have like vegan makeup as your hashtag, because then people will be like, why are you not giving me vegan makeup? But if it is, then someone who's looking for that will have looked in that hashtag and they'll be like, yeah, I can buy some of that. That looks nice. I know what to use next.
So your way of finding trending hashtags is using Instagram itself. So typing a word like cat or whatever it is into, hashtag cat up into the hashtag search bar. Do you have any other ways that you look up trending hashtags?
I mean, you can also Google it. For coming up with answers. Also looking at hashtags on posts similar to your own.
I like that one. That's probably been my go-to, is looking for other people that have, that are doing regular posts in whatever that category might be.
For sure. And going and, say starting out with that cats of Instagram hashtag. And then you go and look at the top post, or sometimes you need to go through a few of the top posts because some are hidden behind the comments and things like that, and seeing what other hashtags they used for that category, because clearly they've performed quite well using these hashtags. But you can also use, like, it doesn't just need to be the topic. You can also look at the location that you're in. So, or like, the event that's on at the time. So if you turn on your location services, I'm not saying do this during lockdown and have it at your home or anything, but if you go out for a nice meal at a restaurant or something like that, you could go and check into that location, and you could go and hashtag that specific location as well. And it means that other people in the area will get to know more about that restaurant, or someone might go and repost your post, which would be nice and get you extra exposure.
And there is some evidence to say that posts that have got a location on them are actually pushed out just a little bit further and favored by Instagram as well. They like it when you do that. So
they like it when you use their features. So like at the moment, Reels is very popular. Whereas before, if you were using IGTV, you would get boosted up in the feed because you were using that new latest, greatest tool, which is now Reels, and which will probably be out of date by the time this goes live.
It's there'll be a new thing. There'll be, I don't know what, I want to have a prediction episode one day where we actually come up with some wild predictions
coming up,
and see which ones actually happen. I think that could be a fun episode. So just looking at hashtags, I mean, another thing that I just want to bring up with that too, and a little question for you is you've mentioned looking up hashtags that are trending. Should people look for hashtags that have been used the most and only use those ones? Or is there evidence to say that mixing it around and using some rare hashtags is good as well?
Yeah, it's finding the right balance. So you can use up to 30 hashtags on Instagram. Personally, I think the more the merrier, because I'm going to hit those people. Yep. However, you'll see ones that come up all the time.
Yeah.
So can you think of any, Sam, that are just the most basic ones?
Well, I feel like I'll use an example that I know where you're going, but the ones that pop to my mind are things like on Mother's Day, when everybody is doing hashtag Mother's Day. And one of the things that came up a little while ago, and I don't know if this is still the case now, I assume that it is, but Instagram actually made an announcement a little while back that anyone that used hashtags like Mother's Day on Mother's Day or Christmas Day on Christmas Day would actually get shadowed because so many people were doing it, that they wanted people to be a bit more creative with their hashtags. It was almost like it's just too boring, and so, but things like
thinking hashtag Insta good.
Yeah, Insta good. Insta food was another one that was just on the top of my mind. And you've just got some of those ones that,
you're just
don't do hashtag Instagram. Don't do it.
So what we're saying is that, yes, these hashtags are hugely used, but that doesn't mean you'll get seen, because if everyone's using it and this algorithm is updating so frequently, you'll just be, because the only place you're really going to get seen is in recent posts.
Yeah.
However, if that's updating every minute or so, then, maybe you're here on the feed and then you're all the way down there and then you're not even. That's what'll happen.
Yeah.
You'll get pushed off the screen just like that.
She was just visually demonstrating.
Yeah.
We are not editing really that out, by the way.
See, this goes on your Friday funnies.
Yeah. Yep.
This is content in the making.
Hashtag podcast fails.
Yes.
So let's just come back to Facebook for a little second. We've said, Instagram, the more the merrier, use up to 30, change them around. By the way, I recommend, this is from me. I think you are the same with this. Change them up every time. Don't just use the same group of hashtags for every single post, because that will get picked up by the algorithm and get used against you. But Facebook, what if people are wanting to use hashtags on Facebook? What's your advice there?
As I explained at the start, I don't see huge benefit.
Yeah.
There can be benefits in terms of if you're looking at a really niche event or something like that.
A conference.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Something that is highly branded. It's very short. It's a little campaign going on. So something that you want to make sure that you've got the word out about and you want to be on that bandwagon.
We've got some companies that have got a cooking challenge going at the moment, and if they post a picture of their creation, they have to use a particular hashtag for the company to find that.
Yeah, definitely competitions and stuff like that. But honestly, besides that, I'm not really a fan.
No, I don't think they look great. I don't know about you, but I feel like on Facebook they look really kind of spammy and out of place.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. Have we got any more sins? Have we covered all the sins?
I feel like they're my biggest sins. Probably one I didn't get to fully mention earlier was another way you can get content, because there's also a way to sin when you get this content, as well as the right way to do it, which is borrowing someone else's content. So when I say borrow, I mean sending them a message and saying, hey, Sam, I loved what you posted the other day. Do you mind if I post this on my feed? And Sam, because you're such a lovely person,
sometimes
she'll say yes and be like, oh my God, that's so flattering, Ciara. I love that. And then I can go and make a post using her image or whatever it was, that recipe, and I go and credit her. But when you go and just take someone else's content without asking, then they can get quite angry and people can be confused. They think that you went and made that awesome recipe when you didn't. Someone else's kitchen, someone else's property. But I think sharing other people's content, so user-generated content, can be really beneficial in the right way.
People tend to be quite flattered too when you share, and it's a great way to build relationship with others. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up, because I know we get a lot of our listeners will get frustrated. I don't want to create my own content without putting my own watermark on it. Here's another one. They'll put their brand on every photo, every image, every post they do because they don't want someone to steal it without them getting credited. So on that flip side, another little pet peeve of mine is when every photo is branded and it feels promotional rather than relatable and interactive. I feel like you undo half of the good work when you go and put a watermark or a logo on every photo or every post you put up. How do you feel about those, Ciara? Because that might just be me.
I come from a different angle. So I'm the corporate side.
Yes.
So
that's different. I'm talking about the consultants' pages here.
But the consultants, make sure to think about it in terms of people knowing what you've edited. So they will know you've edited something if you've put a watermark on it, and it takes away that organic in the moment. I'm just taking a quick snap of my breakfast.
Yeah, it feels less organic, less quick, and here's what I've just had for lunch, or here's what I just made, or check this out, and it feels so much more orchestrated.
Definitely.
Yeah. So all right,
man, there was some extra sins in there.
I know. I didn't. We could have gone anywhere, and I feel like there's so many more we could cover, but I feel like that's enough negativity for one day, and we've turned it all around, so it's great. But let's do just a really quick recap, just as a little reminder. So the very first one you spoke about was not stealing images. So not taking Google images that don't belong to you. And you've given a ton of great ideas on some places they can get beautiful images from for free that they're allowed to use. So we'll put them all in the show notes. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that one, or do you think we covered that one in depth?
I feel like I've given you guys so much homework.
I feel like you really, really have. So the next one was then, which was kind of part of that, which was creating your own content. So we talked a little bit into that. Ciara spoke about Canva and Splice. So Canva for editing your images, etc. Splice for video editing. So get in and play with that. The next big sin was posting for the sake of it, or as you said, posting just because Sam told me to do it. So
which you would never do.
Which you would never do, no. So having an objective, and we spoke a bit about, think about what emotion, if you're not sure what objective you want to achieve, what emotion do you want to people to feel when they see that post? And then the last one was hashtags. We've thrown a fair bit in the middle here, but hashtags was on Facebook, avoid. On Instagram, do a little bit of research, save some groups of hashtags. I love your suggestion to save them in groups in your notes in your phone, so that, if you're posting about your plants, you've got a group here. If you're posting about your cat, you've got a group here. And I'm going to assume, only because I'm not assuming, I know how you operate, Ciara, but when you put those hashtags in, you'll take one or two out, you'll change one or two up, won't you? You won't just grab that whole group, paste it in, and that's it. You actually still do a tiny bit of tweaking in there, right?
Yeah, I want to know if this is a sleeping cat or this is a fail cat,
Sleeping or fail, right?
Yeah.
We all need to go check out your Instagram feed and suss out what's going on with this cat by the sounds of it. But thank you so much, Ciara. I think this has been a really different episode. It's been a bit of fun, but I think it's also been, there's so many awesome gold nuggets in there. So thank you for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. And guys at home, please let me know whether you found this useful or not. Make sure to drop a review on Sam's podcast, because I would love to hear if you guys want me back maybe for another episode one day.
Yeah, I think you've got so much. There's so much going on up there, guys. So if you want a bit more of that, if you want a bit more of Ciara, I'd love to chat with you again. I've missed our conversation. So this was just a great chance to have a catch up, but it was really awesome to get those tips from you. And it was funny because I said to Ciara, right, I want you to give some of your top hot social media tips today. And she came in with this. I just decided to do fails. So I was like, so perfect. I love this. So I can't wait to hear what you might come up with next. So if people do want to reach out to you, if they've got a question, is there a way that they can do that?
Look, I have a Facebook account, Ciara JP. Oh, but spelling my name is so hard.
Right. We'll put it in the show notes for them.
Yeah. That's your next bit of homework. Try and figure out how to spell my name. Ciara JP. If you want to flick me a Facebook message or something, or reach out to Sam, and she can definitely connect.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. So guys, absolutely, you can review the podcast. You can give us some notes. You can chuck your feedback into our Facebook, wherever you find this podcast. And don't forget to subscribe as well. If you've loved this and you want to hear more from us, we've got so many fun episodes constantly on the go, whether you want to learn about social media or you want to be inspired or motivated. And let me tell you, we've got some amazing guests lined up. Probably none as amazing as Ciara, but we've got some awesome ones. But thank you so much for coming in today, Ciara. It's been great to chat again. And thanks to everyone for tuning on in. It's been great to have you guys joining us. So we better wrap it all up for now, but we look forward to seeing you all again next week. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.